Hello everyone, my name is Aina Sofia and I will talk to you about go ahead, dream about the future. Our world is changing so fast and there is a kind of accelerating feedback loop where technological change and social change feed on each other. When I was a kid in the 1980s, we knew what the future was going to look like. It was going to be some version of Back to the Future or Star Trek. It was going to be neon megacity and flying vehicles. But now, nobody know what the future is going to look like, even in just a couple years. And there are so many scary apparitions lurking on the horizon, from climate catastrophe to authoritarianism. Everybody is obsessed with apocalypse, even though the world ends all the time and we keep going. We must not afraid to think about the future, to dream about the future, to write about the future. I found it really liberating and fun to do that. It's a way of vaccinating yourself against the worst possible case of future shock. It's also a source of empowerment because you cannot prepare for something that you haven't already visualized. But there's something that you need to know. You don't predict the future. You imagine the future. People are really hungry for vision of the future that are both colorful and live in. And this is where science fiction readers can fit the needs, where they offer intense, futuristic stories that use a mixture of active dreaming and awareness of cutting edge trends in science and technology, and also insight into human history. And at this point, it's helpful to know a couple of terms that science fiction writers use all of the time: future history and second order effects. Now, future history is basically just what it sounds like. It is a chronological of things that haven't happened yet, like Robert A. Heinlein's famous story cycle, which come with a detailed chart of upcoming events going up into the year of 2100. While a second order effect is basically the kind of thing that happens after the consequences of a new technology or a huge change. There is saying often attributed to writer and editor Frederick Pohl that a good science fiction story should predict not just the invention of the automobile but also traffic jam. And speaking of traffic jam, I spent a lot of time trying to picture the city of the future. What is it like? What is it made of? Who is it for? I try to picture a green city with vertical farms and structure that are partially grown rather than built, and walkways instead of streets because nobody get around by car anymore. A city that live and breathes. And I kind of start by daydreaming the wildest stuff that I can possibly come up with. I imagine what kind of new communities will we have? What kind of new crime that we haven't even thought of yet? And then there is social media. I always hear from them is that the smarter AI gets, the better it is at making connection. So maybe the social media of the future will be better. Maybe it will help us to form healthier, less destructive relationship. Maybe we'll have devices that enable togetherness and serendipity. I really hope so. And finally, there's medicine. I think a lot about how developments in genetic medicine could improve outcome for people with cancer or dementia. And maybe one day your 100th birthday will just be another milestone on the way to another 2 or 3 decades of healthy, active life. So finally, basically, I'm here to tell you people talk about the future as though it either going to be technological wonderland or some kind of apocalyptic poop barbecue. It's going to be, but the truth is, it's not going to be either of those things. It's going to be in the middle of it. It's going to be both. It's going to be everything. The one thing we do know is that the future is going to be incredibly weird. Just think about how weird the early 21st century would appear to someone from the early 20th. We can anticipate that the future is going to be much weirder than we could possibly dream of, but we can try, and I know they are going to be scary, scary things, but they are also going to be wonder and saving grace. And the first step is to finding your way forward is to let your imagination run free. Thank you.